What is the proper punishment for capital offense? Well, in my opinion, it's capital punishment. Now, there has always been the dispute about life in prison versus the death penalty, and a common question that is asked is, does capital punishment truly deter criminal activity? Well, let's take a look at the numbers. Yes, the death penalty does deter capital crimes. When discussing the death penalty, people often say that there is no evidence that capital punishment decreases crime rate. However, research was done by 3 different professors, and results show that the death penalty does in fact deter crimes. Is it a coincidence that the 3 different studies prove the same exact results? No. The fact that 18 murders are prevented was a result found in each of these studies proves that these numbers are true. Paul H. Rubin, Ph.D., said, "The modern refereed studies have consistently shown that capital punishment has a strong deterrent effect, with each execution deterring between 3 and 18 murders." Another professor, Hisham Desbach, Ph.D., said, "Each execution results, on average, in 18 fewer murders with a margin of error of plus or minus 10. Finally, Cass R. Sunstein, Ph.D., says, "A leading study suggests that each execution prevents some 18 murders, on average." Now, the graph to the right shows that in the years 1965 to 1980, there were absolutely no executions performed, and as a result, the amount of murders per capita hit an all-time high, reaching almost 200. Later in Sunstein's study, he said, "A wave of recent evidence suggests the possibility that capital punishment saves lives." People that are against capital punishment make the argument that the death sentence costs more money than life in prison. This is correct, but is it always true? Let's have a look. All in all, the death penalty will actually end up being cheaper, and here is why. One execution costs about $1.26 million. Life in prison costs about $750,000 for one criminal. A study was done in California where they found that 11 criminals were sentenced to death over a span of 27 years. Now, if we do the math, we end up with all 11 executions costing us $13.86 million. But if we sentence them to life in prison, 11 criminals would cost $8.25 million. Life in prison is the right choice, but only over a very short term. However, criminal activity will not end in 30 years, which means that as the number of executions remains the same or increases, the number of capital crimes will decrease. With this trend over a long period of time, crime rate would decrease to 2 to 3 capital crimes over this 27-year period, and make how much we pay for executions less. If we only allow life in prison, crime rate would not decrease, and there will always be 11 capital crimes in 27 years, keeping the expenses at a constant $8.25 million. Now, with this, in the end, executions will be cheaper. So I decided to consult my father about this topic to see what he had to say, and here are his thoughts. My father agrees with me because life in prison is not a deterrent to murder. After a clear case of first-degree murder, the criminal should be put to death. Think of someone who plots to kill children. Should they get to spend the rest of their life in prison, taking college courses, watching TV, working out in the gym, while we pay money for this? No. A society must have consequences for these types of actions, or else civil order will break down. I believe the death penalty is the ultimate solution to capital crime.